before the numbers start, on that page, I notice there are two congregations named there. Brisbane Progressive Jewish Congregation and BOvS Centre for Progressive Judaism. So it's a special connection for us. I've never seen that before. So we're the two special congregations in the community. Now, so we turn to kindling the Shabbat lights, candles 572, Hanukkah candles 572. And we invite you to come and light your Chanukiot. And we'll let everybody light them before we do the blessings. So, any volunteers? And remember the way. Receiving? Are we receiving? Traditionally, the way we light it is we fill from the right hand side, so the new one is the nearest to the middle, apart from the shamas. But we light the new one after lighting the shamas, then we light the new one first, and then the older ones. So it goes 3, 2, 1. That's it. Beautiful. Light. And whilst they're doing that, I'm going to tell you, you might want to mark the page because we're going to turn, after 572, we're going to turn to 668. Because on 668 we've got the Hanukkah songs, 669 we've got Ma'at Sur. And the reason we have a shamas is because we're not supposed to use the Hanukkah candles for anything except enjoyment. In other words, not for lighting the other candles. And the reason that you have a shamas, if you look at the Chanukiot, you'll see the shamas is always either a little bit higher than the other candles, or else in front of the other candles. And the rationale for that is that if you are accidentally using the light for reading, you could say, it's all right, I'm not using the Hanukkah light, I'm using the shamas. And that's why it's a bit higher. So if somebody hasn't lit the one, I know. Edward? There's one in the middle and there's one, are you... Daniel and Edward, one of you is done and the other one hasn't done. And the one in the middle, whose is that? It's not lit yet.
It's actually mine.
You bring 3? Wow. Well, so so Daniel's offering anybody who didn't bring a Chanukah the opportunity to light one.
I actually lit mine yet.
Well, do yours then.
Second job. A big smile, guys.
Okay, so we're going to do the blessings together. You'll find them on page 572. We only do the first and the second one because Shehechianu, thanking God for bringing us to this unique time in this year, we did that on the first night. And then after that we're going to sing Hanerot Halalu, which is at the bottom, and the translation of it is at the bottom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel chai. Bazman hazeh. And at the bottom, Hanerot halalu, anachnu madlikim al hanisim, v'al haniflaot, v'al hatshuot, v'al hamilchamot, she'asita la'avoteinu bayamim hahem, bazman hazeh, v'chol shmonat Yemei Chanukah Hanerot halalu kodesh hem ve'en lanu reshut lahishtamesh bahem ela lirotam bilvad kedei lahodot ulahalel shimcha gadol al nisecha ve'al niflotecha ve'al yeshuatecha. We kindled these lights because of the wondrous deliverance you performed for our ancestors. During these 8 days of Hanukkah, these lights are sacred. We are not to use them, but only to behold them, so that their glow may rouse us to give thanks for your wondrous acts of deliverance. By the way, what we're doing here is called Pirsome Nisa, which is not Hebrew but Aramaic, and it means publicizing the miracle and the Hanukkah miracle. And what we're supposed to do is put it in the window so that the outside world can see. Now, we've got a stained glass window there, I see, dedicated by Rabbi Brian Fox on the 10th anniversary of the congregation some years ago. So clearly we can't put it in that window. And I did tell a family once about putting the candles in the window, and they put the candles in the window of the house they were renting, and it was a lovely, cozy house with a nice big double glazed window, and it cracked from one corner to the other. So be careful. But if you go to Jerusalem, they do put. If you go to Jerusalem, there are little in the old city of Jerusalem, in the walls of the Jewish quarter, you'll see little glass windows and boxes in the wall, and that's where they put the menorah at Hanukkah. So you can actually see. So what is the miracle? Here's a quick question, but a trick question, really, in that you're likely to give me the wrong answer. What is the miracle of Hanukkah? What's the miracle of Hanukkah that we're publicizing? Why are we having fried foods? I put you all off by saying it was a trick question, didn't I? Yes, Evan. Okay, hi. Grab a seat. There's a seat there. I can see 2 seats there. Seat here. Some over here. Check your pick. This is nearer the kitchen. The miracle of... Okay, so here's a we taught our children that there was... When the Maccabees recaptured the temple and rededicated it, there was only enough oil, and they came in little oil jars, 1 day's worth at a time. They only found 1 jar that wasn't smashed by the Greeks. So they lit the candlestick, the holy candlestick or the oil candlestick in the temple that they were rededicating, and they went off to make some more holy oil. And it took 8 days, and guess what? That 1 little jar of oil lasted 8 days. Now, if you don't want to hear this, block your ears. This is a spoiler. This story is not the true story of Hanukkah. It is not the miracle of Hanukkah. It is not from the time of Hanukkah. It is much later. It's a marginal note that was added to tell the kids. The problem is that kids grow up and then they know the story of Hanukkah, and then they tell their children, and it gets passed on from generation to generation, and we end up frying latkes and donuts, and this is what I call the high cholesterol festival. All because of this story that we told the kids about oil. Now, there's several problems with that story. And the main problem is that Judaism doesn't really believe in miracles that overturn the natural world. Okay, even with the story of the parting of the Sea of Reeds, you know, where the Israelites are coming out of Egypt and they can't go anywhere because they're by the seashore, and Moses puts his rod into the sea and it parts and they cross on dry land. You know that one? Have you heard that one? Yeah. Okay. Seen it. Must be true. Cecil B. DeMille, yeah. That's not what it says. It says that a strong east wind blew through the night, and in the morning there was dry land. This is a causeway, right? We find this sometimes. You've got a shallow sandbank, and in particular tidal situations with strong winds, then the causeway appears. The Israelites were able to walk across it. And after that, who came after them? The Egyptians. And the Egyptians weren't on feet. They were on horses' hooves and narrow iron chariot wheels. They don't go across wet sand very well. So there are multiple pile up in the sand. And when this causeway, the conditions for the causeway finished, they all drowned as the water came back. Well, that's what it says. We don't believe in these miracles. We might take our one-day cruise of oil, and if we're really, really careful, because we haven't got any more, and we put it in a corner, and we trim the wick really far down, and we make sure there's no gusts of wind, it might last a day and a half. Okay, that would be good. 8 days, we don't believe in that sort of miracle. So, if that's the case, what is the real miracle of Hanukkah? It's that we're still here celebrating 2,200 years later almost. We're still celebrating Jewish survival. And that's the miracle that we effectively put our menorah in the window to celebrate. Hello to everybody online. Welcome to our candle lighting, Hanukkah celebrations. We're going to turn to BOvS, but in case I haven't undermined your Hanukkah enough already for one night, I'm just going to tell you something which I've just discovered. BOvS on page 669 is not a song about BOvS. This verse is not about Hanukkah. You can't tell unless your Hebrew is very good because it's not translated. And the reason it's not translated is because you don't really like it. That's what it's actually. This is a song. This verse is about building a new temple. And it says, I will bring offerings and I will sacrifice and I will sing again in the temple that's rebuilt. So we're not really that keen on building a third temple. In fact, we don't want to do it because a temple means priests and animal sacrifices and centralization, and really ignores the growth of 2,000 years of rabbinic tradition, right? To go back to biblical times, and we're not into that. And the Orthodox are, and their service, every time they say the Amidah, it asks for restoration of fires and sacrifices, but we're not. So we'll sing it without translating it. But interestingly, if you look at BOvS, has 5 verses, and the last of them is about Hanukkah, and it says, Yivanim nikbetzu alai. The Greeks rose up to destroy us, and we rededicated the temple. So that one's the historical one that actually talks about the events of Hanukkah. Tomorrow, after the service, we're going to have a study lunch, and I hope lots of you will join us, and we're going to be looking into these things, the events of the time, and reading them in a new way. So please join us. But in the meantime, let us sing BOvS, lustily, pretending we don't know what it means. BOvS Yeshuati Lechana El Shabeach Tikon Beit Tefilati V'sham Toda Nezabeach Le'etachin Matbeach Mitzar Hamanabeach Ozek Mo Bashir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach Shir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach. Okay, so now we're going to say Happy Hanukkah, and the latkes and the food is coming later with dinner, but now we come to Kabbalat Shabbat, and Daniel is going to lead us in. Oh, both of you are going to lead us. Excellent. And if you haven't got a prayer book yet, you'll need one. 126. 120. Are we doing first?
Okay. Yeah, we're doing Hinematov. There you go.
We can skip him because we've just started singing, so let's go into
Sure.
Right.
All right, we can do Yidin Nefesh. Yeah.
Page 126 in the middle.
Yeah,
Yidin
126.
Nefesh.
Go from one that's kind of a little more introspective to one that's a little happier. So on 131 for Shilul Adonai. Every single time I sing this, it reminds me of Phoebe. Someone was asking how to sing this, and she was like, "When in doubt, keep lying." Just say lie, lie, lie.
It never. I'm always like more lying.
We're gonna skip ahead of time a little bit just to include Mizmor Shir on 140. And we got this.
I'm gonna get waxed by that.
Yeah, you're trying to
Yeah.
get a bit of space here, but
For once, it's not too.
Mizmor Shir Le'yom HaShabbat Tov Le'Adonai U'Lezamer L'Shimcha Elyon U'Lezamer L'Shimcha Elyon V'Hanir B'Boker Chastecha Emunatcha Ba'Leilot
just leave me hanging on the ground.
All right. We can go into the Lechadodi, so 138. So as Rabbi mentioned, we skipped the parts that talk about rebuilding a temple. So we're going to do parts verses 1 to 5 and 9. And I guess a good question now is which version to use.
I've actually forgotten the truth.
While you're deciding which version to use, the ones we're doing are the ones that are not indented.
All right, let's go with the tradition. So we all stand and we face the door.
To welcome the bride of the Sabbath, unless you can't see.
And when we get to the part that says Boyichala, Boyichala, we all bow down. And then we face the ark later for the last chorus. So, we all bow. Boyichala, Boyichala,
That was Lechadodi in 5 different keys.
Since the bride of the Sabbath has entered, we're going to light the Shabbat candles.
We invite all the women usually to do it.
Right?
We just get all the ladies up to do it really, Jen.
Okay. Anybody who wants to come help light the Shabbat candle?
We'll invite all the ladies to stand up and
Oh, we invite everybody. We
Jen.
don't distinguish.
Do it slowly, photographers here. Got enough oil here for a week, so don't worry.
blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'hadlik b'nei shachar.
Amen.
Is that it?
Yeah, there's a Shalom Aleichem. Yeah. Here.
So now the bride of Shabbat has entered, and we were all the brides of Shabbat lighting the Shabbat candles together, and now we will sing Shalom Aleichem on page 142. Is that the tune?
No, this is one.
So now we turn to page 146. Page 146, so please stand if you can for the Baruch Please be seated. Let's read together on page 149 at the top. Praise to you, eternal our God, from whom the evening flows. You're joining with me, yes? Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, eternal our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim. And do you sing Ahavat Olam? Do you have a song tune for Ahavat Olam?
The one that comes to mind is Ahavat Olam B'Yisrael Chadam Torah U'Yitzvot Chukim U'Mishpatim Otam U'Maritzah Al Ken Adonai Eloheinu B'Sholem Kudem Nasiyah B'Chochecha B'Yitzmach B'Divrei
page 152 and 153. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך בכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. And we turn to the top of page 157. So I just mentioned Egypt earlier, and actually when I talked about Matzor, the last verse is about the Greek period and the Maccabees, but actually what it is, apart from the first verse which we just sung about re-establishing temple and sacrifices and so on, the second, third and fourth are previous episodes of history where God saved us, and then the fifth is where the Maccabees say, God saved us with the Maccabees. So the second of them is actually the Exodus from Egypt. So that comes in frequently, as in Kiddush, when we remember the Exodus from Egypt, Zechel Etziat Mitzrayim, and this, of course, we remember regularly. So we'll read, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati lo tosefele, norati lo tosefele, malachutecha ra'u banecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zeheli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov u'ga'alo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai ga'al Yisrael. And now we turn to V'shamru on page 162. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam barit olam, beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, ot hi le'olam, ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz, ובהיום השביעי שבת וינפש. And now we come to Tefillah on page 164. If you are comfortable standing, please do so. Adonai sefatai tiktahu b'yayim zeh. Adonai sefatai tiktahu b'yayim zeh. אתה קדוש, שמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. So you might want to sit down at this stage, or you might remain standing as you wish. Page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal just started open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh Shabbat. Adonai Eloheinu be'amacha Yisrael o tefilatam be'avat tekabel o te'ileratzon tamid te'ileratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha Baruch atah Adonai she'otecha levadecha ba'yira navod she'otecha levadecha ba'yira navod. Modim anachnu lach she'ata hu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei avotenu leolam va'ed. Tzur chayenu mageni shenu ata hu ledor vador. Nodeh lecha u'nesaper tilatecha al chayenu hamusarim biyadecha v'al nishmotenu hapkudot lach v'al nisecha shebechol yom imanu v'al niflotecha v'tovotecha shebechol eit erev v'voker v'tzoharayim. Hatov kilo chalu rachamecha v'hamrachem kilo tamu chasadecha me'olam kivinu lach. Now we turn to page 556 for this edition for Hanukkah. And we read, in the days, let's read together. In the day, actually we'll start at the top. We thank you for the miracles, redemption, the mighty deeds and saving acts brought about by you, and for the wars which you waged for our ancestors in the days of old at this season. In the days of the Hasmoneans, Mattathias ben Yochanan, the high priest, and his children, when the evil government of Greece rose up against your people Israel to make them forget your Torah and to make them leave the laws of your will. In your great mercy, you rose up with them in their time of trouble and fought in their fight, judged their cause just. You delivered the mighty into the hands of the weak, the many into the hands of the few, the unclean into the hands of the pure, the evil into the hands of the righteous, and the arrogant into the hands of those who engage in your Torah. You made for yourself a great and holy name in your world, and for your people Israel you brought about the great triumph and redemption of that very day. And then your children came to the Holy of Holies and emptied your temple and purified your holy place and kindled the lights in your holy courts and established these 8 days of Hanukkah, grateful to acknowledge and to praise your great name. And so we continue back on page 176. For all these things, O Sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Eternal One. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lahodot. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Chasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Chasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. V'tov b'necha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. B'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. Now we have some moments of silent reflection, meditation on this year, on whatever we would like that brought us to this celebration of Hanukkah at the end of this 2024 of the new secular year, which is fast approaching, or to read the suggested words on page 180 if you haven't, or 181 if you haven't thought of anything else for yourself. Shalom b'mramav uyaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. So now we just come to the Aleinu and Kaddish, which starts on page 586. Do we have a volunteer who would like to open the ark for us for the Aleinu? Any volunteer? Good man. Standing for? Yep. Open the ark. Aleinu shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אלוהינו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי tomorrow with hope made stronger by the vision of your realm, a world where poverty and war are banished, where injustice and hate are gone. Teach us more and more to share the pain of others, to heed your call for justice, to pursue the blessing of peace. Help us, O God, to gain victory over evil, to bring nearer the day when all the world will truly be one. Vayom Ahu, Vayom Ahu, Yeh Adonai Echad, U'Shemo, U'Shemo, U'Shemo Echad, U'Shemo, U'Shemo, U'Shemo Echad. And do we have any names to mention before Kaddish? Do we have a list to read? No? Anybody want to mention a loved one? Or? And as we come to the words of the Kaddish, and we mention, think of our own loved ones and hold them in our heart, we also think of all those who have died between last year and this year in acts of horror and tragedy around the world. And we pray for a year of hope and peace in the coming year. We think of our loved ones from whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for blessing. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon. V'chayechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yeh shmei Rabbah mavorach le'olam la'olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitromam v'yitnasei. V'yithadar v'yitalei v'yithalal. Shmei dekutsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Hodsei shalom b'imrumav, v'ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Please be seated. Anybody have any announcements? Tomorrow morning's service is at 10 o'clock, followed by lunch and study. Stay as long as you can, or come along just for Kaddish, just for study if you want, lunch. That's okay. Or come just for the service and go after the service. But preferably stay with us through. And Gail's just gone to get ready. I thought there was going to be some announcements about how to organise dinner, but I'm sure we'll find out.
There's also Hanukkah in the city on Sunday night, the main Brisbane celebration for Hanukkah.
What time does that start?
Yeah. check Facebook.
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Yeah, I wouldn't get there that early.
That's a bit before dark, isn't it? Okay.
You'll actually then give like cards out about and talk about Hanukkah and then the cards for a Hanukkah party in the city. Maybe it's the same thing.
Okay. So, shall we finish with Enkelheim? Page 626. Which Enkelheim? Give me a tune. Enkadoneinu, Enkemalkeinu, Enkemoshienu, Michelaheinu, Michadoneinu, Michamalkeinu, Michamoshienu. Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adoneinu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Moshiach. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshiachenu. From those of you who come from an Orthodox background, you will know that there's another verse being tacked onto that doesn't fit the same pattern. Again, it's about the temple sacrifices. And actually, I mentioned that Ma'asur has 5 verses, but in fact, if you look in Orthodox prayer books, it's got 6 verses. But the 5 are original by the same author who signed it with the first letter of each verse, so it's got his name in it. And the 6th has been tacked on after, in the medieval times when we didn't like what the persecutors were doing to us. So again, all these things grow over time, not necessarily beneficially. So, Shabbat Shalom. The correct blessing, the correct greeting for Hanukkah, by the way, is it's not a hug. Technically, it's not a hug, so we shouldn't really say Chag Sameach. In Israel, it's Chag because Chag means festival, but actually Chag is, according to tradition, Chag is a festival that's written in the Torah, and Hanukkah isn't. So the right thing to say, yeah, we're waiting for, it's all right, we're here for instructions. The right thing to say is Chag Urim Sameach, which means Happy Festival of Lights. And when you say that, somebody say, it's not Purim. So I didn't say Purim, I said Urim. Okay, Festival of Lights. Okay, Gail, thank you very much for working all afternoon to make delicious smelling latkes and other things for us, and setting the tables, and thank you also, Barry, who was on security duty, and everybody else who makes this place run. Would you like to give us instructions?
Should we do the
Kiddush first? Yep, great. Okay.
wine helpers?
So wine helpers, come and bring in wine. Okay, so I know that Kiddush is on page 123. I don't remember most pages in this book, but our younger child has a mathematical bent and pointed out when they were about 2 or 3 that this was a mathematical progression. Page 1, 2, 3, so there we go. Thank you. So, oh, lovely. Go. Pop it down there, it's all right.
Yeah, it's on an angle.
It will stay on.
We need a little
It's not that steep.
angle.
So on page 122 is, bless you, pre-Kiddush. 122 is actually the transition between the end of chapter 1 of Genesis and the beginning of chapter 2. Chapter 2 tells us when all of creation was completed, then God rested and tells us what happened. So if you'd like to stand for Kiddush. Vahi erev vahi boker yom hashishi vayichulu hashamayim ba'aretz v'kol tzvam vayichal Elohim b'yom hashvi'i malachto asher hasa vayishbot b'yom hashvi'i mikol malachto asher hasa vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vayikadesh oto kivo shavat mikol malachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'b'ratzon inchilanu zikaron l'maseh bereshit ki hu yom tehila le'kra'ei kodesh zeh Yak mitzvot Mitzrayim, Kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodechecha b'yahava u'ratzon inchaltanu, Baruch ata Adonai, mekadesh ha'shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamatzi lechem min haaretz.
Yes.
Okay. Take it around. Okay, can be seated now. Shabbat shalom. Oh, except for instructions.
Yes, we will go round, so I'll give me like 3 minutes to put the food out, and then table by table just come around through this back door, so go out the side and back out. So cutlery plates are all in there.
That's a clever, cunning plan. So, whilst you're waiting for 3 minutes preparation time to be up, I just want to tell you that last weekend, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, Sue and I went away to the Blue Mountains just for Shabbat, and we went to a Chinese restaurant for Friday night, and we took with us our electric candles and a little challah. And ordered a glass of wine and did kiddush at the table. We often, when we're on holiday, we walk around on Friday afternoon looking for restaurants that have got candles and tablecloths to make Shabbat special. But, yes, just say that because Shabbat still happens even if you're away. It's important to celebrate, and actually the word holiday comes from the word holy day. So we had the original holy days, of course. We had a week's holy day for Pesach after the barley harvest, and then a week's holy day after all the harvest period finished for Sukkot. So taking a week off to reflect on that time with family is like an extended Shabbat. So holidays should be like an extended time of rest and relaxation and Shabbat. Good. Okay, it's still going.
No, it's on the
Your turn. Shabbat, before it's dark, should you light your Shabbat candles? So that one does the Beit Or for 18 minutes. So 18 minutes after 18 those candles for 12 or 18 hours. Make sure that you're have a very, very good oil so you're not make sure that Yeah.
can't win and control. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go to the line up already. So, go over this when I take stop. And I need to go first and then start on this.
Nice. Okay. All right. So what do you?
Yeah. It's it's a data set.
Crazy. I did my master's in that. Next year. So it's online. Sorry, because I am. Yeah. Well, I think this was like online, so it's like.
Oh,